since there's a lot of new people here and our host here is very new, then I think I'll run down the new path. And that is, let me make it very clear. For livelihood, for entertainment, for family, for traveling, and generally living and growing and doing business, and just ordinary human life. We don't really need religion. We don't need to practice religion. We don't need to have any type of religion. Whether we have religion or not will not determine whether we'll be good in business, or have a good family, or whether we're going to be successful or not successful. So I want to make things clear that you do not need religion for your ordinary, normal life, eating, exercise, health, also for business, for family. You don't really need religion. The example of that is there are very successful people in the world who have no religion, and there are very unsuccessful people in the world who have religion. At the same time, there is the opposite. There are very successful people in the world who have religion, and there are very unsuccessful people in the world who also have no religion. So my point is that religion has nothing to do with business, has nothing to do with house or family, and actually you can live your life from the time you're born until you die with no religion at all. No religion. So if we choose not to have a religion, that's okay. It's not a problem. If you don't have a religion, also you don't become a bad person. You're not a bad person. If people ask you what's your religion, say I don't believe in religion, or I don't have religion, or I'm a free thinker. That's okay also. That's very okay. If we have a religion, it's okay. If we choose a religion, then the reason is someone who can think on a higher level, beyond business, beyond money, beyond luxury and comforts, beyond family and just eating and entertainment, beyond. So if we're someone that can think beyond or be beyond, then religion will be very, very helpful. And if we want to be of tremendous benefit to the people that we owe kindness to, or if we want to owe or repay back the kindness of our parents, or people that we love, our wives and our husband, and we would like to ensure the best we can that our children have a good future, then religion will be very useful. If we wish to have a mind that whether we're rich or we're poor, our mind can be happy, and our mind cannot create unhappiness in others, then religion is very important. Very important. At the same time, if we wish to bring massive benefit to other people, more benefit to other people, higher benefit to other people, then religion will be very, very useful. And then if we wish to think higher and more and bigger, the bigger, we want to think beyond the box. Just, I have good food, I have good family, my health is relatively all right, I live in a good situation, I live in a good country like Malaysia, and everything's fine with me. But if we think, is that it? Is that all? In life, is that it? And we can think beyond, then religion will be very helpful. Going to school is wonderful, but it benefits you for a few years in this life. Just a few years for a short term. In your adult years. Doing business is very good. Working is very good. Earning money is very good. But those will benefit you for a short time and temporary. It's not long term and it's not stable. So what happens if we're satisfied with just that? If that's our level and that's what we're satisfied with, it's okay. But if we can think beyond, that there's more beyond food, there's more beyond entertainment, there's more beyond just having a family and doing business. If we want to think beyond the box and higher and more, religion is very useful. And in today's society, where people are educated, people are exposed, and people understand things better, religion is very useful. Some people think religion is outdated, or passé, or for older generation, or for my mother, or I'm too young for it, or I'm not ready for it. Actually, that's not correct. It's not correct because religion doesn't fit one type of person or one class of people. If we can think beyond the box, whatever age we are, whatever situation we are, religion is very useful. When we come to choose religion, then we have different aptitudes. We have different needs. We have different likings. We also have very different backgrounds, and we have different expectations. So therefore, there's a variety of religions out there in the world. The variety of religions out there in the world is very useful. There is more benefit in having variety than singular. So if we ourselves think that having a singular religion is best, I want to break the concept. I want to say that's incorrect.
What do you mean?
So from Buddhist thought,
Okay.
it's very important to understand that we don't believe in a singular religion, or we don't believe that there's only one religion that solves everybody's answers. So therefore, from Buddhism, there's a very deep respect, very, very deep respect for a variety of religions. Why is that? It's like when we go to a restaurant, the restaurant's more attractive if it has a variety of menus. The purpose of eating food is to be full. So to debate what food is best, what food is good, what tradition is good, what tradition is not good, is meaningless and ridiculous. The reason we eat food is so that we can be full, we can nourish our bodies, we can move on. So therefore, food is not the purpose in itself. It is to help us to achieve a purpose. So therefore, like that, when we have different types of religions, according to Lord Buddha, it's much, much better. So therefore, I want to make one thing very straight. In Buddhism, we respect and encourage all religions. We do not seek to convert. We do not seek to put down. We do not seek to annihilate. We do not seek to destroy or put away in any way. What we seek is cohesiveness. And how do we get cohesiveness? By thinking only, since we're religious practitioners, we should be tolerant of other people's religion. And then therefore we think like that. That's not enough. Because when anger comes, when unhappiness comes, or something wrong comes. So therefore, if we have a variety of religions, it suits a variety of mentality. So if we think like that, we have respect for different religions. Different time, different region, different people, different background, and different needs. We need different religions. For one religion to say that, this religion is good, that religion is not good, that religion is good, this religion is not good, is extremely bad. Why is that bad? A, it is false. B, it creates non-cohesiveness. C, if someone has been practicing a certain religion their whole life, and suddenly some other fellow comes along and says it's wrong, how do you destroy their inner world? How do you destroy their beliefs and their foundations? How do you destroy their culture and their type of thinking? So for someone to come along and say, this religion is bad, this religion is bad, this religion is good, this religion is not good, this religion is alright, but mine is the best, it's actually a person who's very insecure talking. It's a person who's insecure, and the person teaching them is very insecure. Why? Spiritual practice is not which one is the best. Spiritual practice or religion is not which one is the best. You see, sometimes you hear people saying, that one's not good, that's good, that's good, that one's not good, mine is good, that one's not good, you should come to mine. When you hear that, you should run. Why should you run? Because that's wrong view. That is wrong view. For example, for myself, to come to a great country like Malaysia and tell you, hey, all the religions here are wrong. Buddhism is right. And all the forms of Buddhism is wrong. Only Tibetan Buddhism is right. That is very wrong. Why is that very wrong? Everybody was doing fine before I showed up. Everybody was doing well before I showed up. So all of a sudden I showed up, I tell you, you're not doing well. That's not logical. So my point is, religion serves a function. And the purpose of religion, the function is to create inner and outer, from inner, outer cohesiveness. Cohesiveness. That's very important. So if religion's used for any other way that is not cohesive or creates cohesivity, it is very, very sacrilegious, if I may say so, sacrilegious. So therefore, since I'm a Buddhist teacher, and we're basically in the Buddhist environment, I will talk about Buddhism a little bit more, as opposed to other religions. I am not learned and skilled in other religions, so therefore I cannot comment too much, and I dare not, because what I can say can be misleading. But I do want to make it very clear that especially in Buddhism, we are taught, we are expected, and we are educated to respect all religions and to never put them down. We can't put other religions down by saying they cannot offer salvation, or my way is the only way, or that way is not the right way, or this way is the right way. We cannot say things like that. We cannot follow things like that. In Tibetan Buddhism, that's considered very, very bad. Very, very bad. Why is it very bad? Simply saying it's very bad or very sinful doesn't help. It's very bad because it creates people to break up. And that's not the purpose of religion. So that's very important. Second thing is, Sheva Mama Sheva in Tibetan, Sheva Mama Come Mama Come. Okay, in Tibetan we will say, since we have different types of aptitudes, come. Since we have different types of aptitudes, we need different types of religions to suit, different types of food, different types of clothes. No one in this room will like the same clothes. No one in this room will like the same kind of decorations. Everybody's very unique. So therefore, if we have different religions, it suits people very well. If we think about that, we meditate on that very well, we appreciate the different religions. We appreciate, and what happens from appreciation? We respect. Once we respect other people's religions, or no religion, what we respect, many wars become nothing. Many wars. So this is very important. And I want to always mention that in the history of Buddhism, since its beginning till now, there's never been a war in the name of Buddhism. There's never been a war in the name of Buddhism, or Buddhists, or Buddhist teachers, or Buddhist sects. There's never been a war, ever. And why I want to mention that is because this thought in Buddhism is very strong. To not harm, not to create harm, and not to disrespect other religions. Even with such a gentle mode of behavior in Buddhism, Buddhism still is the fastest growing religion in the world. In the Western countries, now in the affluent Eastern countries, Buddhism is one of the fastest growing in the world. And the reason for that is because it's the best? No. Because it encourages you to ask, it encourages you to think, and its methods is very logical and systematic and very helpful for people who are used to education, or are used to learning, or are used to asking questions. So people who are used to study and education and asking questions, they will find Buddhism very appealing. Why? Because it encourages questions. It encourages doubts. It encourages you to not accept on the basis of faith or the teacher or the glamour of it all. But it makes you think, it makes you ponder. So Buddhist teachers, especially in Tibet, go through tremendous amount of training. Tremendous. The teachers go there minimum 15 years to 20 years of training. What type of training? For listening from their teachers from the Dharma, listening to their teachers. Thousands and thousands and thousands of hours of sitting, listening to their teachers. And then you're expected to go home and do thousands of hours of meditation and contemplation of what's been taught. And the contemplation and meditation set. Then on top of that, you have to spend thousands and thousands of hours every day in debate. Morning and evening debate in the monasteries. Debate on what? The subject we have talked about. Just like in school, when we learn something and we have open discussion, we remember something much better. We recall something much better. Therefore, in the monasteries, they encourage debate. Why? to encourage you to think, to ask questions. So sometimes you take the opponent of one that's against, or you take the side of one that is for, and you debate back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So there's intense training in, especially like example, my monastery of Bandin in South India. It's relocated in South India now, which has over 3,000 monks. It is very, very intense in training. So therefore, why is that? Because it comes from the spirit of learning, asking questions, contemplation. And Buddhism does not like stories. Buddhism doesn't like fairy tales. Buddhism doesn't like superstition. Contrary to what our grandmothers have shown us, Buddhism does not like things that your mind cannot prove. Buddhism doesn't like that at all. It doesn't accept that at all. Why doesn't it like that? Because the teacher, Buddha, said so. To listen to the words of the teacher, not the teacher. To develop on the meaning of the words, not the words. And to apply the meaning to yourselves. So I want to make it very clear. In Buddhism, it's very, very stressed to respect other religions due to those two things I have mentioned earlier, and to not put them down and not ever say, oh, they're backwards, or they're silly, or they're superstitious, or they're not good. It's not allowed. If we say that, then we're not really a Buddhist. So that's very important to know. And therefore, once we find that Buddhism is suitable to us, beyond having a beautiful altar, beyond having beautiful statues, beyond having beautiful offerings, what is very important in Buddhism is to actually start reading. And if we have the chance, if we're near a teacher, to start studying with the teacher or listening to the teacher's Dharma talk in order that we can get knowledge. Because Buddhism isn't about you read one book, because we have many, many holy books. The holy book or the Bible of Buddhist studies is Lamrim, Lamrim, Lamrim. Lamrim literally means graduated path to enlightenment. So in Buddhism, it isn't that you just study one book called Lamrim, and then you just read that every week, and then you do some prayers, you do some rituals, and then you're a Buddhist. Buddhist practice and Buddhism encourage very much self-introspection. Self-introspection into looking into our minds deeply, and to observe what is to be corrected and what is to be encouraged. And how do we do that? We do that by study. If we don't know how to look into our minds, if we want to go to a psychoanalyst, the psychoanalyst needs to have training. Similarly, if we wish to examine into our minds and we want to see what is correct and what is not correct, we need to know how to look. Not knowing how to look is not very helpful either. So therefore, if we wish to engage in the practice of Buddhism, the practice of Buddhism is not chanting. It is not beautiful altars. The practice of Buddhism is not holy vegetarian days on certain dates of the month. Being a Buddhist or practicing Buddhism has nothing to do with rituals or wearing labels or having special costumes or having certain pendants. That has nothing to do with Buddhism. That is only the outer manifestations of Buddhism. But real Buddhism is what? Is challenging yourself. Real Buddhism, real Buddhist practice is challenging yourself. What is that? Is to go to the very sensitive points in your mind that disturb you, that you keep locked away, that you keep closed, that you don't reveal, not even to others, but even to yourself, and to open that up. To open that up, to apply therapy to it, to apply antidotes to it, to heal it. To heal it is very, very important. So in Buddhism, it is called an introspective philosophical religion because it's very deep and there's a lot of understanding, there's a lot of knowledge, a lot of textual knowledge. But it is a religion also because it offers you salvation. And that salvation that it offers, that's what classifies it as a religion, that it offers you salvation. And the salvation it offers you is not from an outer source. You see, in Buddhism, there's not an acceptance or a denial of a God. There's not an acceptance, there's not a denial. Buddhism doesn't deal much with it because it doesn't help us at this moment. It doesn't help us at this time. Similarly, if you have a young child, you will not be teaching them things that a 20-year-old adult will need to learn. You will not force it down and throw it to their 5, 6 years old because it doesn't apply to them. It's not a matter of that the item exists or not exists. It has to do with whether it applies to that child or not.
Yep.
Now, in Buddhistic practice, we have meditations, very profound, that can be done by monks and lay women and laymen. Very profound meditations. In Buddhism, especially in the Tibetan form, let me be very forthright and honest with you. There are very, very powerful rituals, very powerful, that monks and nuns, as well as lay people and lay women, can do themselves. There are very powerful techniques for changing negative situations around if we follow them to a T. There are very powerful manifestations of energies, protective energies, clearing energies, wealth energies. There are many, many types of rituals, and it's very, very powerful. Whether you all accept Tibetan Buddhism or not doesn't matter, but you can definitely know that Tibetan Buddhism is very well known in the world. Very well known. Many movie stars, many ministers and politicians, very big people, and the general population, many people accept Tibetan Buddhism. So you can't say that, everybody can be wrong. My point is, there are the mystical side of Tibetan Buddhism. There is. But for us, the mystical side is not very helpful at this time. For us, the logical, clear understanding of how Buddhism can help me in my life is more relevant. So please do not think that Buddhism is about vegetarianism. Please do not think it's about having a statue. Please do not think it's altars. Please do not think it is simply going to a temple and offering incense or making bargains with the Buddha. Going to a temple and say, if you give me this, I will do this. If you help me on that, then I will promise you I'll do this. It's not about bargaining. Because here, there's a heavy entrenched thinking along with the normal Tibetan ordinary populace that when you go to a temple, you bargain. You bargain. If you give me a baby, I will let Kuan Yin adopt it. Why does Kuan Yin want your baby? Think about it. Just think. Right? You see this guado here. Do you think Kuan Yin want to adopt him? Imagine he comes out as his mother. His mother says, here, Kuan Yin, adopt him. Kuan Yin is very kind. She don't show you, make you lose face, but she's thinking, why I want to. You think about it. Alright, so we like to bargain. Or we go there and we say, if you help me hit the lucky 4D, I will help you build a temple. Well, what do you think? Do you think Kuan Yin or Buddha exists for you to build a temple for them? Do you think they're egocentrics? Do you think they're egomaniacs? Egomaniacs that, if they do something for you, then what do they get out of it? They get a temple out of it. If you think that Buddha is so narrow-minded and so calculative that if you get the lucky 4D, if they give it to you, that you'll build a temple for them, you have the wrong thought already. Don't ever think that the Buddha is so narrow-minded. It's okay. Just say that it's okay. Don't think that the Buddha is so narrow-minded. Don't think like that. So we have this kind of attitude. If I go to the temple, I'll make a bargain with the Buddha. And some people think, I have this problem. I have this emotional problem. I lost my wife. And I want to get my wife back. I want to get my wife back, and we go to the temple. If I get my wife back, I promise you I'll be vegetarian for the next 2 years. Another bargain. You see, you lost your wife because you're a monster. Kuan Yin has nothing to do with that. So if you say to Kuan Yin, dear Kuan Yin, I will not be a monster anymore from now on. I will pay attention to my wife. I will listen to what she says. I'll cooperate. I'll argue with my wife. I will stop looking at other women. I will stop sleeping with other women. Then you can get your wife back. And I will spend time with the family. I will spend time to have kids. And I'll work harder to make money to support the family. Then you can get your wife back. But if you're a monster, you got a big mouth, you're arrogant, you don't pay attention to your wife, you don't spend time with your kids if you have it, and if you're a monster and when you go out to eat with your wife outside in a restaurant, when you're eating, your mouth is on the food, but your eye is everywhere else, then how can Kuan Yin help you? And people want that. You see, they think that Kuan Yin and Buddha and God and Jesus and all these great beings can make things happen for us without us having to apply an effort. And we think that we can bribe the Buddha. You see, we don't have to change ourselves. If you get my wife back, I'll be vegetarian. I'll be vegetarian, or I'll build a temple for you. And why do you think the Buddha cares about whether you build a little temple for them or not? Why do you think? Do you think that Buddha resides in that little temple you built with the dust, your cheapskate little offerings? And the little auntie sitting there with her fans, playing Cantonese music. And when people come in, they light a candle. When they go away, they blow the candle out. And then they resell it again. You think that's what the Buddha wants? No. So we can't bargain with the Buddha. Why can't we bargain with the Buddha? Because he's holy and mighty? No. He doesn't operate the way we operate. That's why he's a Buddha and we're not. So therefore, if we want our wife back, if we want our girlfriend back, if we want our boyfriend back, if we want our friends back, Kuan Yin can't do anything. Can't do a thing. Buddha can't do a thing. And you can pray all you want. Never. Have you ever heard, this Buddha deals especially in divorce cases. If you pray to this Buddha, you get your wife back. You ever hear about that? I never heard about that. You ever hear about a Catholic saint that takes care of divorces? Never. But you hear about Catholic saints that tell you to be kind. You hear about Buddhas teaching you to be nice, and then you will have a wife, you'll have a partner, you won't be lonely. So therefore, what's my point? My point is I'm bringing religion to you. I'm demystifying it. I'm telling you what religion really is. So you're thinking, well, I know how to do that. I know how not to be a monster. And therefore, I can get my wife back. Well, if you know how, then you should apply it. If you don't know how, then religion teaches you how. How to develop that special mind that you get your wife back, you get good friends, you get good security, you get happiness, and when happiness or things go wrong, you don't make it even worse. Buddhism can teach you that very, very strongly. So if you go to the temple and you make all kinds of vows, I promise not to speak. For 10 days, silent retreat. Wonderful. But you see, it's not about the 10 days you're in a silent retreat. It's about the 50,000 days after that you won't be in a silent retreat, how you act. When you're in a silent retreat, the point of the silent retreat is not the silence. The point is how you act afterwards. So afterwards, if you talk even more, or you're even more rude or more obnoxious, your silent retreat was something that just pented up more frustration. Silent retreats for contemplation. So if you go to the temple and say, hey, I will be silent, I will be vegetarian, because we have those retreats in Tibet, we call New Name. And I will make certain offerings, but if you give me this, you're bargaining with the Buddha. But what I want to say to you is, bargaining with the Buddha doesn't get what you want. Getting what you want is here. Here is your mind. Transformation of your mind. That's how you get what you want. So if you want your wife back, I promise you Kuan Yin can't do anything. But if you learn where your anger comes from, if you learn the disbenefits of anger, if you learn the repercussions of anger, if you contemplate on that and you learn the methods to apply to anger, and you contemplate on that, and then you apply the methods to anger over time, when your anger becomes less and less and less and less and less, you will get your wife back. And your wife will stay. You'll get your husband back. You'll get your friends back. You'll have peace. And that's the purpose of religion. So simply saying, oh, I want to lessen my anger and I'm going to work on that also doesn't work because we need a method. Simply saying, hey, I want to do business, no one shows you how, it's very difficult. Hey, I want to be a biochemist. I want to be a doctor. Wonderful you want to be a doctor, but you have to study first, you have to learn how to be a doctor, you have to get experience. So similarly like that, religion is not going to a temple. Religion is not having an altar. Buddhism is not chanting. Buddhism is not simply breath meditation or being in the moment. That's not Buddhism. Those are all attributes or techniques or methods, or in other words, tools that we use to apply Buddhist thought in order to transform our lives. If you are educated, or if you're not educated like me, but you have a mind that likes to think and you need reasons, Buddhism will suit you very well. If you have a mind that's kind of lazy, look for answers on the outside instead of the inside, don't want to apply your efforts, don't want to take responsibility, then Buddhism will not be appropriate for you. Buddhism is appropriate for people who wishes to take responsibility, wishes to take charge of their life, wishes to look for real solutions that are not short-term, but long-term. That's what Buddhism is about. I have been practicing, studying, learning, contemplating, sometimes meditating for the last 30 years of my life. I've given my whole life to the study and the practice and the pursuit of Buddhism. I started when I was very young. I started when I was 8 or 9. I started not because someone put me in the monastery or someone forced me to. I wanted to. I started it in Howell, New Jersey. I was adopted and taken over to Howell, New Jersey at a very, very young age. And very nearby was a Dharma teacher that many of my friends are not interested in, but I was. And I started my study. I left my home when I was around 15 or 16, my step-parents' home, because they didn't allow me to study Buddhism, but I wanted to. So I traveled long distances across the country to find a place to study and to practice and meditate. Finally, at the age of 21, 22, something like that, I left the United States completely to join my monastery in South India, which is Bandin Monastery, which has 3,000 monks plus. And I've been there. And after being 8, 9 years in the monastery with my gurus, my masters, and my teachers, and these are the great ones from Tibet, the last of the living treasures of Tibet. They're in their 80s now. I studied with them what I can. I wasn't a very good student. I was quite lazy, and I wasn't disciplined, but I absorbed fast. And I was requested to go out and teach. I was requested to go to Malaysia. I didn't come to Malaysia to teach because I looked on the globe and say, oh, I want to go to Malaysia. No, I didn't want to go to Malaysia. I didn't want to go anywhere, but I was requested to. And somehow once I got to Malaysia, outwardly, you guys look very decent, conservative, nice, very friendly. Inwardly, you're just like me, a freak, different. You want something more. And you say, look, there's more to life. We're all the same inside. So I've been pursuing Buddhism under 14 great masters for the last 30 years. So the difference between me and you is this. I've studied, you haven't. I've given up 30 years of my life with 14 great masters, you haven't. Does that make me holy? No. But it makes me have the advantage over you that I sit on the throne and you sit on the floor. Okay, couch doesn't count. That's the only advantage. Am I better than you? No. Am I holier than you? No. Am I more advanced than you? No. But the only advantage I have, and many of you in this room is much more advanced than me. Much more advanced. But that doesn't faze me. Because my aim in life has never been just for this life. It's never been. So in that way, I can share some Buddhism with you for the last 30 years that I've been engaged in this practice. So we're in a very nice home now. I've invited here to do a consecration. Annette and her husband has invited one of the most holiest, the most revered, and one of the most sought after Tibetan Buddhas existent. And the name of this Buddha is Lama Tsongkhapa. If you want the full name, it's Jangun. Chuji Jiaho. Kamsun Chuji Jiaho. Jangun Lama Tsongkhapa Chenbus. That's the full name. So if we say it in short, it's Manjunatha Tsongkhapa, or just simply Tsongkhapa. Tsongkhapa is a very, very great master, the top of the top, who is the guru of all gurus, who is the master of all masters of Tibet. In Tibet, we call him the second Buddha, Gyawa Niba, meaning Shakyamuni is number one in Tibet. Number two, meaning second doesn't mean rank number two, it means the one we consider to be equal to Shakyamuni is Lama Tsongkhapa. So in Tibet, you don't give that title to many beings, but to Lama Tsongkhapa, you give that title, Gyawa Niba, meaning one who is equal to Shakyamuni himself. During Lord Shakyamuni's time, he was a young Brahmin boy who went up to Lord Buddha, Shakyamuni himself, and offered a crystal rosary, crystal mala. We call this a mala. Your first religious word, M-A-L-A, mala. That's good. So what is this, everybody? Mala. See? Some of you just look dumb. Actually quite smart, see? That's right. The little kids like Mala. Okay. It was at that time when Lama Tsongkhapa offered the mala to Shakyamuni. Shakyamuni placed his hands on Lama Tsongkhapa's hands and said, in the future, after my demise, when my teachings are starting to degenerate and people have wrong view and misunderstanding, you will be reincarnated in the land of the north, where the red-faced barbarians reside, referring to Tibet. Red-faced the land of the red-faced barbarians. Barbarians doesn't mean they're low class or bad. It means they're not skilled in higher thought. And you will revitalize the teachings. Exactly as Lord Buddha predicted, Lama Tsongkhapa was born. Lama Tsongkhapa took rebirth in Tibet over 600 years ago. And I'm not going to go into details about his life, but there are many, many wonderful books in English and Chinese. If you're interested, you can let my assistants know on his holy life and what he did. But let me make a long story short. Lama Tsongkhapa built a great monastery in Tibet to institutionalize the studies of Lord Buddha. Just like we have all this education out there in the Western countries, in order to institutionalize and to center learning, they opened up Cambridge, they opened up Harvard, they've opened up Oxford, they've opened up these institutions where all these places and people of knowledge can be combined into one place where people go to learn. Same thing in Tibet. You had great teachers here. You have great masters here. You have great learning here, great texts here, but it was scattered all over Tibet. So Lama Tsongkhapa studied under 45 masters and gathered all the great teachings that were available at that time and institutionalized it into one place, and that was called Ganden Monastery. Ganden Monastery opened 600 years ago in Tibet. It is still open until now and still producing great teachers and great masters. I told you earlier, minimum these days, not in Tibet, 15 years to get your degree, 20 years to be a great unique master. Something I'm giving you an estimate. You say, why such a long time? Because the monks usually enter the monastery and they stay. It's not like another university where you go in for a few years and you leave. People actually go in there and they stay. And anytime you leave the monasteries, many ways. One is, if you're sent out to teach, or if you go into the mountains to meditate or to do retreats, or if you happen not to want to take your robes anymore. So there are many, many ways that you can leave the monastery. So therefore, Lama Tsongkhapa became a fully enlightened being, fully accomplished being. And each Buddha has their own specialties. Lama Tsongkhapa's specialty is very apt and very appropriate for people today. See, there are many, many Buddhas. Many types of Buddhas have many functions. But I specifically talk about Lama Tsongkhapa for today's modern people, today's current people, is because he's very applicable. Today, we don't so much suffer from physical poverty. We don't so much suffer from physical poverty. We suffer more from emotional poverty. Why? Before we get a husband or a wife, we want a husband or wife. Once we get the husband or wife, some of us want to get rid of the husband and wife. And then before we have children, we pray, we wish we have children. After we have children, we wish we didn't have children. Everything's gone. So my point is, life is always like that. If you have this, you cannot have that. If you have that, you want something else. Now, we have a lot of emotional poverty. We have a lot of anger. We have a lot of distrust. We have a lot of jealousy. We have a lot of miserliness. Then you're saying, what's the difference between people before who had these qualities and the people now? There is no difference. The people 100 years ago and 200 years ago had exactly the same emotions of hatred and jealousy and anger and miserliness. They all had that. The difference is they didn't have a chance to manifest that as openly as we do today. And the reason is this. They were more concerned about survival. They were more concerned about earning a livelihood. They were more concerned about getting food or getting shelter. Whereas today, food, shelter, and livelihood is very easy. So what manifests? Anger, jealousy, miserliness. You see, once we get a nice house, we get a nice home, we sit inside, what happens? All these emotions come out. All these problems come out. So Lama Tsongkhapa is very applicable for us today is because we have these kind of afflictions. Now, in modern days, our afflictions is not so much external. It is more internal. Internal afflictions cause more problems and difficulties for us. Anger, a sense of loneliness, a sense of unfulfillment, a sense of entrapment, a sense of feeling we have nowhere to escape, a sense of we have to look happy, but we're not. We have that very strong in us. The immediate antidote, of course, is understanding the mind. But most of us is not able to do that. What is more powerful is we need to start to investigate the nature of the mind. Once we investigate the nature of the mind and we apply its antidotes, we will see some transformation in our mind. Definitely we'll see transformation over time. Along with that, if we can do a daily meditation, if we can do some daily prayers, it will be very, very helpful. Lama Tsongkhapa's practice, Lama Tsongkhapa's meditation, and Lama Tsongkhapa's chanting is very helpful in not fulfilling our wishes, but in order as a method to help us to accomplish the necessity to fulfill our wishes. Let me repeat. Lama Tsongkhapa's practice doesn't fulfill our wishes. Lama Tsongkhapa's practice helps us to achieve the method to fulfill our purposes. There's a big difference. So do not misguide yourself by thinking, if I have a Lama Tsongkhapa or if I have a Buddha in my house, my problems are gone. Don't think that if I simply have a Buddha statue in my house, all the difficulties are gone. That is only the first step. Don't think that if you have Lama Tsongkhapa in your house or you have Buddha in your house, all your problems are disappeared and all your worries are gone. It's not like that. It's not like that at all. But it's just the first step. If we do Lama Tsongkhapa's practice, it will open up the energies in our mind. It will open up the energies, with some of us that would like to say in our chakras, to be able to develop patience. If we develop patience, our relationship becomes much better. It will open up propensities in our mind to become honest, to be forthright. When we're honest and we're forthright, we will attract more friends. And people will respect us. Doesn't all of us want respect? We will be able to attract respect. When we do Lama Tsongkhapa's practice, we will also create harmony between husband and wife, between families, between friends. Why is that? When we do Lama Tsongkhapa's practice, it creates and opens up the propensity in your mind to develop acceptance. Acceptance. When we develop acceptance, we will have great harmony with everybody around us. Even people where there's no harmony, we're able to create harmony. So when we do Lama Tsongkhapa's practice, also, when difficulties come, we are able to overcome the difficulties. And the reason for that is Lama Tsongkhapa opens up the mind that is able to have fortitude. Fortitude is a mind that does not give up easy. On top of that, when we do Lama Tsongkhapa's practice, and this is very important, this is very excellent for children and young people, or any people. When we do Lama Tsongkhapa's practice, we do the meditation and the mantra well. It moves the winds in our body. It moves qi. Tibetans also have that. It moves the qi in your body in such a way that it increases, listen carefully, not creates. It increases your memory. It increases your logic. It increases your intellectual ability. And for children, it's very powerful to do Lama Tsongkhapa's practice. Their studies become very, very excellent. In Tibet, Lama Tsongkhapa's short mantra, Arabhasa, is famous for young kids to do. Why? When they do this study. When you do this mantra well, you will have an immediate effect of being able to move the qi in your body without meditation. That it strengthens the nerves and the wind channel, specifically the wind channel, to increase memory. Increase. Chinese believe that. Chinese believe in the qi. I don't care what other people believe or not believe. It definitely exists. Everything that exists, you don't need to see. So we can increase that. When we do Lama Tsongkhapa's mantra and meditation, even without meditation, when we do the mantra, it's very, very useful for increasing memory, intelligence, understanding, grasping. And especially when we talk about Dharma, I'm going to say something. I want you guys to listen very carefully, not to get the wrong idea. When we talk about Dharma, it is the highest subject. Only some people will be able to grasp it and to have interest in it. Some people are not able to grasp and have interest because they're very used to just eating and sleeping and entertainment and fun and money and food and music and parties. So they've already made their mind interested in only these things, so their mind is very hard to go to the next level. What am I saying? Oh, if you practice religion, you're very intelligent. If you don't, you're not. No. I'm talking about familiarity. So if your mind's used to thinking on a higher level and asking questions why and looking for answers, then this Dharma talk will be very beneficial for you. You'll feel it compelling. You'll feel it that it is very beneficial. If you're very used to just eating and sleeping, entertaining, making money, fun, that's all, then Dharma talk will be very difficult. Any Dharma talk, not just Tate, will be very difficult to comprehend. Why? Because the Dharma talk gives you a method to transcend to a higher level. So when you do Lama Tsongkhapa's practice, you will have great memory. In Tibet, it is said to meet a teacher. Listen carefully. To meet a teacher in your previous lives, you must have prayed. You must have prayed to meet the path. You must have prayed to learn the Dharma. You must have prayed to be able to understand the Dharma. Or you might have even prayed to the Buddha, may I become happy. May I become free from unhappiness. May I have joy. May I have all peace and success. Even when you pray to the Buddha like that, it will create the karma for you to meet a teacher. Why? The Buddha is here. You are here. The teacher is in between. Nobody in this room, including me, can receive teachings from a Buddha statue at this time. Buddha statues can come to life and teach, but at this time, nobody in this room, including me, can. Nobody in this room can see a Buddha directly and get teachings directly. No one. So, if you have a Dharma book, and you give it to a person, it's very hard for them to understand. Without explanation and experience. Very, very hard. So for us to have prayed to the Buddha, may I have happiness. May I have freedom from fear. May I have freedom from poverty and difficulties. You created a karma and a link to be the teacher. Why? Because the very cause for you to be free from unhappiness and fear and poverty is to apply the methods that Buddha has taught. So when you apply the methods that Buddha have taught, you will be free from fear and unhappiness. And in order to apply what the Buddha has taught you or taught, you need someone who can explain to you. In order to have someone that can explain to you, you have to have a sound mind, a human body, you have to be healthy, you have to make your time free, and you have to have the right priorities set. Once you have made the time, you make the freedom, and you make your priorities correct, and then there's a teacher who actually spent time and energy into study and meditation and practice, and all these causes come into conjunction, then you can receive the Dharma. You see, don't look at this room. Annette called a few people, say, come here. Then my assistants came and set up the offerings, and that's how we have the Dharma practice. No. For both of us, it goes back a long time. For me, if I hadn't devoted myself to Dharma 30 years, I wouldn't be here teaching you today. And I went through quite a lot of hardships to learn what I learned for 30 years. If you yourself have not made prayers that you wish to be happy, that you wish to have freedom, that you wish to be at peace, and you wish to have harmony, you wouldn't be here either. Why? You can't be here by accident. And people who don't have the affinity to be here, they cannot be here. Why? Why is it? It's not affinity to me. It's not affinity to me. I'm nobody. It's affinity to what I'm saying. And what I'm saying, if you apply in your life, you will see a difference. So if you don't have the affinity to make a difference in your life, to make yourself happier and better and improve and grow, you cannot hear the teachings. You cannot hear the Dharma. So to be here, to be in the presence of hearing the Dharma, whether it's me or another person, it doesn't matter. Whether it's a Tibetan or Malaysian teaching the Dharma, it doesn't matter. You have to have created the causes to be here. So do not think simply, we're here, we set up, it's a nice little dinner party. It's not like that at all. We have created causes in this life and future lives to be here to gather together. That's why I say it's not by accident. Even with respect to David, he doesn't speak the same language I speak, but he has the karma to receive the Dharma. And he's receiving it right now. This is affinity. Affinity is not accident. Affinity means you have created the causes, I have created causes, and when we put these two together, something happens. There are even some people who can hear what I'm saying, but cannot hear. Cannot receive. That is their affinity. They're not bad or they're not good. There's no judgment. It's simply no affinity. That's why when we receive a Dharma talk, we should feel very lucky, very fortunate, very sincere. Why? It is through our combined hard work that we are here. For those receiving the Dharma and for those giving the Dharma simultaneously from previous lives. From previous lives, we have already created causes to receive the Dharma. So that's why to be in the presence of a spiritual teacher in Tibet, we are considered very lucky. Very lucky. We make thrones for the spiritual teacher. We make the thrones higher, and we make offerings to the spiritual teacher, and we show respect to the spiritual teacher. Why? Go to the next level. It is to show respect for the Dharma you are about to receive. You make the thrones high and beautiful and ornate, not necessarily for the person, but for the knowledge that you are about to receive. Before Dharma teachings, you make 3 kowtows or 3 prostrations, not necessarily to the person, but to the knowledge that the person contains, which is the Buddha's teachings. Even the person giving teachings, before they give teachings, they make 3 kowtows, 3 prostrations. And the meaning for that is what? Is for them not to have arrogance, to show people around them, to alert people and to alert themselves. I may be the Dharma teacher, but that gives me no right to be arrogant. That gives me no right to believe that I'm better than other people or I'm higher. No. So even the Dharma teacher makes 3 kowtows before Dharma teaching, either to the Buddha or to the throne, in order to send a signal to him or herself and to other people. I am very fortunate to be able to share the Dharma with others. Very, very fortunate. Why? We believe by karma, 因果, that by giving knowledge, a person who gives knowledge, their mind will become very sharp. The mind will be very quick and very aware. And they can attain higher states of realization faster by giving teachings. We believe that. Why? Giving teachings is the highest act of merit that we can perform, next to Guru devotion. The highest. Why is that? Because you benefit many. Many, many. You have prayed for peace. You have prayed for happiness. You have prayed for wisdom. You have prayed for higher knowledge. You have prayed for releasing and getting out of unhappiness. You have prayed for that. That's why you're here. Because you create the causes. Why are you listening to what I'm saying? You've created the causes for that. So what we believe is taking responsibility for your action. Therefore, today I cannot take credit for this. But all of us can take credit. We have created the causes for this. That's fit along the concept of cause and effect. Cause and effect. Or simplified, karma. So therefore, when we invite a Lama Tsongkhapa to our house, it has great significance. Great significance. Lama Tsongkhapa in our house, putting there in a corner, will send a very peaceful and beautiful and wonderful energy throughout the house. The house will feel calm, the house will feel very nice and very peaceful with Lama Tsongkhapa there. Then Lama Tsongkhapa being a monk, being a pure monk, he's in the form of monk, just like Shakyamuni is a monk. Then he will bring the power and the blessing of the Sangha, all the monks that exist on this planet, to your house. And what do we ask monks to do? We ask monks to pray for us. We ask monks to chant for us. We ask monks to do rituals for us. So when we bring Lama Tsongkhapa in the house, we bring the power of all the Sangha into our house. He represents the Sangha. The Buddha's body represents the Sangha. When we bring Lama Tsongkhapa into our house, we also bring the Dharma into our house. What Dharma? The spoken Dharma, the understood Dharma, and the attainment Dharma. What is that? Why is that? The attainment Dharma is to listen, understand, and our mind transformed. That is the attainment Dharma. Why is it when we bring Lama Tsongkhapa to our house, we bring Dharma to our house? Why? Because Lama Tsongkhapa's hands is in the gesture of teaching. See, some Buddhas are in this gesture, like Vajrapani. This gesture means subjugation or controlling. Some Buddhas are in this gesture. Some Buddhas are in this gesture. These gestures signify their particular function. Lama Tsongkhapa's gesture is like this, representing teaching the Dharma and protecting by Dharma. How do we protect by Dharma? If you understand the Dharma, you will not suffer anymore. You are protected from suffering. So when we bring Lama Tsongkhapa to our house, small or big or very big, we bring the Dharma to our house. When we bring Lama Tsongkhapa to our house, we don't need many Buddhas. We don't need many deities. We need just one, Lama Tsongkhapa. When we bring Lama Tsongkhapa to the house, you bring all the Buddhas to your house. Why? Lama Tsongkhapa himself is a fully enlightened Buddha. Fully enlightened. He's not a bodhisattva. He's not an arhat or lohan. He's not a Dharma protector. He is not a Daka or a Dakini. He is not just a guru. He is a fully enlightened Buddha. Then some of you can think here, some of you, well, I think most of you here, most of you is Chinese. Some of you might think, well, this is some weird, strange, faraway, exotic, Shangri-La, Tibetan Buddha. What does it have to do with me? I'm Chinese. We've got our own Buddhas. Well, I want to tell you you're wrong. Why would I tell you you're wrong? With respect, I need to tell you you're wrong. Because Lama Tsongkhapa's practice was very big in China before. Very huge and very large and very widespread. The teachers of Lama Tsongkhapa's teachings, of Lama Tsongkhapa's doctrine, were invited by the imperial kings of China. And they were the imperial tutors of the royal house of the king in China. Many times, not once, but many twice. In fact, if you go to Beijing, you go to the Yonghegong temple, you will see huge temple built by the Emperor Qinglong. Still existent, very beautiful. I went myself, very beautiful. And the temple inside houses a huge statue of Lama Tsongkhapa. Huge. produced and built by the Emperor of China. If you go to southern China, if you go to eastern China, you will see temples, you will see images of Lama Tsongkhapa. You can go and see now. I've seen them. So Lama Tsongkhapa's practice existed in China, is available. And some of you cannot go to China tomorrow. You can go to one of our outlets. You can go to YMT, Yogini Mystical Treasures, is in Lot 10. Go upstairs, we have books there. We have picture books there to show you Lama Tsongkhapa in China. You saw, right? Yeah, it's there. So you're not practicing some weird Tibetan god or some weird Tibetan Buddha. You are practicing something that both our countries have taken refuge in for many, many centuries. Tsongkhapa Dasu. In Chinese is his name. Very simple. So I'm not teaching you anything that's strange or foreign or different. I am actually bringing you back your religious culture that was lost in transition. Now we're all Malaysians here, and Malaysians have a rich culture, but your original culture came from China. Now you're Malaysian. You're not Chinese, you're Malaysian. But your roots are from there. So if we bring the roots back and add to who you are now, you become even better Malaysians. Why? You're practicing what your forefathers have been practicing. The path of peace and love. And that's very, very beautiful. So you should take a look at that. So don't think I'm teaching you something foreign. Don't come to Annette's house and say, "Ayo, what's that weird Tibetan god? What's that weird Saijong thing?" Why? It's not. It's not Saijong thing. It's not. It is Tibetan thing. It is Chinese thing. Anyways, beyond Chinese and Tibetan, Buddhas have no boundaries. They're not caught by boundaries. So therefore, when we come to this beautiful modern house, we have a nice place here. You walk in, wow, you see this beautiful Lama Tsongkhapa. If we do Lama Tsongkhapa's practice for young people, no joke, very, very helpful for their learning. Very, very helpful for their learning. Very helpful for them to grasp and understand things. Very helpful. For a family, when we do Lama Tsongkhapa's practice, when we do Lama Tsongkhapa's chanting, we do Lama Tsongkhapa's meditation, you'll be able to let go of anger and difficulties much easier. And things that all of us do bad things, all of us do good things, all of us, we're all human. The good things we're able to do more, we'll be blessed. And the bad things we're doing that hurt other people, we'll be able to realize it and start to let go. Bad is what? Bad is something that harms others. Simple as that. There's no Buddha coming and judging you. It's simple as that. We're able to let go much more. And when we invite Lama Tsongkhapa and we do the meditation and practices correctly over time, it is said is very powerful. Even if we have the karma to become poverty-stricken and have no food, by the power of Lama Tsongkhapa, we will even still get food and be able to survive to move on to the next step. It's very, very powerful. So Lama Tsongkhapa's presence in a house stabilizes one's wealth, stabilizes one's fortunes. And with time, it is said, Lama Tsongkhapa helps you to gain wealth with time. Lama Tsongkhapa's practice to gain wealth is not very quick. Why? He's not a wealth god. He helps you to gain wealth in such a way that you never lose wealth again for many, many lifetimes. When we do Lama Tsongkhapa's practice also, it is said that if you're very unhealthy, your body is very physically unhealthy, or you have threat of short life, it is very, very powerful to extend your life and through healing. In fact, there's a special mitsama. It's not actually mitsama, it's a slight variation in mitsama. When we do, it can heal many different types of diseases and problems. Many different types. So it's very powerful for increasing life. And also, people who are very depressed, people who feel very hopeless, people who feel senseless or without direction, Lama Tsongkhapa is very, very powerful for giving people direction, for destroying a sense of hopelessness, and getting rid of agitation. Very powerful. And those of us who are afflicted, listen very carefully. Those of us who are afflicted by negative spells, spirits, demons, magic, if we do Lama Tsongkhapa's practice very well, it will open the doors for us to gain full protection. Full. Very full protection. So Lama Tsongkhapa's practice is very, very powerful. Very, very excellent. Statues are not meant for high practitioners. Statues are not meant for advanced practitioners. Statues are not meant for practitioners who have gained attainments. It's not meant for that. Statues are meant for everybody else who have no attainments. And the reason is because a person who's attained, either they have become the deity, so whatever they do with themselves or whatever you do for them, you gain the benefits the same as you offer to a statue. A. For a non-tantric practitioner, but a person who's highly attained, or fully, even a tantric highly attained, their visualization of the Buddha will be even better than a statue. It will be clearer and more better. No statue could ever capture the beauty and full glory and grace of a Buddha. So their visualization will be even better. So when they make offerings and make prayers, they can make it in the middle of a noisy restaurant and make prayers to the Buddha and make offerings of tea or bread or whatever they're eating to the Buddha. It'll be more beneficial or equal to that of having a statue. A statue is not for an attained person. A statue is for ordinary beings whose meditation is not clear, for ordinary beings whose focus is not clear, and for ordinary beings whose concentration is not clear. So if you ask me, for the side of an ordinary being, it's more beneficial to have a statue. For an attained being, no difference. That's why when we go to high lamas or high whatever, you don't see many things. And when they build statues, or they buy statues, or they make statues, or they give statues, it's not for themselves. Even when they build temples or they build places where people go to pray, they want big statues. It is not for themselves. It is for the public. It is for the public, it's for the people. And if the lamas encourage them to buy statues for their house, to set up a beautiful altar with silver offerings, it has nothing to do with the lama. It is the benefit of the person who is still ordinary.